RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. I know, welcome to the Daily Brief. I don't know whether I do my intro anymore or not, because I think all the, hey, welcome back to the Rational Investor, all that kind of stuff's already in the intro. So just say, hey, how's it going? All right, let's go. But today is Tuesday. I'm good. How are you, Ghost? Is that how you, is it Ghost? How do we pronounce your name? Anyway, thank you for asking over there on YouTube. Here we are, Tuesday, 9th of May, and I do know I kind of trying to get 5 thoughts out here at once. There are a couple people that have said, hey, we like the intros. Other people say we don't like the intro. Hey, it's a work in progress. I'm actually just pleased that we are making progress, small baby steps forward. So we could probably crisp it up a little bit more. And of course, now we have the disclaimer on there, which we should have had from day one, but it's just a good idea to have that. So I like the fact that we're moving forward. It is still very much a work in progress, and we're just trying our best. That's all we can do, right? So if anything, give big shout out to Chris. Chris took the initiative to get that going and put everything together. So thank you, Chris, for being so awesome. So as you can see on the screen, I've got loaded up here. Today is Tuesday, 9th of May. News and econs wise, we got a big econ event tomorrow. The inflation data that everybody's all stressed about here of late. So that's probably going to move the market dramatically. And I noticed that nothing sort of earth shattering with regard to econs coming down the pike here today. But we'll talk a little bit more about what did come down, but nothing sort of earth-shattering. And I think on balance, the news, if you will, is just a reiteration of basically everything that we've been talking about recently. Good old you-know-who over there in Eastern Europe being a jerk. They had their like May Day parades and stuff like that, which is so ironic. Don't even know if the typical Russian person on the ground even knows what's going on in Ukraine. But anyway, business as usual there, it seems. Did find it interesting that recently, I don't think it's really relevant news for today, but basically the World Health Organization has said that we no longer have a sickness. So if you're feeling sick, too damn bad. It's your problem now, not theirs. Anyway, interesting, the old PM there in Pakistan, he got arrested. This guy is a lightning rod for tensions over there in Pakistan. If you follow that kind of stuff, I don't know really how relevant that is to us in the West here. Obviously, within the crypto space, we've had a couple big news events. I think it was almost like a foregone conclusion. Trex was basically telling all its North American customers, see you later. We've had enough of this place. We're heading overseas. So yesterday, they sort of formally announced the bankruptcy of their U.S. division. And in that way, that's just sort of like your final nail in the coffin. That officially, if anything, to all the regulators, that's the official sort of notice that Bittrex is no longer working in North America. Also, too, I noticed Mr. SBF is trying to get some of his charges dismissed. Was it sort of a rush to judgment by the regulators and the law enforcement to pile on a gazillion different charges? I don't know. I mean, we'll see this all come out in the wash. I suppose it is interesting how the actual court dates and the sort of trial dates have all been set for this fall. And of course, we've said recently that these lunar eclipses seem to have an extremely, let's just call it, they have an impact on the market, no doubt about it. And what a surprise, our next lunar eclipse event is this coming October. So interesting, the sort of juxtaposition with his formal trial happening there. And then, I suppose add insult to injury, and I guess it just makes perfect sense. I see that actually Alex, principal over there at UBIC, I think I've been talking about him recently. Crypto Optimus, yeah, he's another guy that is a principal over there at UBIC. Great guy, personality-wise, both these Canadians, and of course, what is this kind of reference to? What a surprise! Just along the lines of the U.S. And I think it's actually worse in a country like Canada, because Big Brother, basically the Rothschilds, all that, they're all sort of, holding hands together. Klaus, and the little substitute drama teacher idiot. They're all sort of in cahoots to create this, Big Brother or a George Orwellian future for us. And of course, as sort of capitalists and sort of, purists in the crypto space, we're kind of disgusted by all this that's developing now. So, oh God. I don't know what this 21st century is looking like, but it is interesting. We did have one site member. Actually, when I saw him on a public video, I guess he doesn't even bother coming on the TRI site anymore. I was like, hey, you, where the hell have you been? And then, of course, poof, he's disappeared again. So, oh well. Anyway, I think he had it fairly well tapped. He's really big on the astrology and stuff. And he was saying that this cycle is all about consolidation of power. And I guess in a way, it's a little bit sad that all of the efforts that everybody in this crypto space, Alex, he was quite an advocate for crypto there last cycle. But man, all of the efforts that everybody in crypto have put together, sort of libertarian freedom, not your keys, not your coins, your own personal taking, your own banking. It's all going to be unwound by these bureaucrats and socialists and communists and stuff. By this stuff, it's kind of sad, really. Anyway, you can see it coming down the pike, which is a little sad. But on a brighter note, today is Tuesday, and Tuesdays are one of my favorite days of the week because we get to go eat pancakes together with our TRI CTO, and TRI is coming along pretty nicely. Dashboard's looking pretty crisp these days, and you can see the site's tools and what I would consider value-added propositions here are all coming in quite nicely. So we have Stuart on the call here today. Of course, Stuart without the T, so try and remember that, Brian. In our after party, and he'll give us a nice little site update development-wise, and also tell us maybe a little bit about what's going on in his neck of the woods and some of the coins that he's interested in. Stuart, you want to say hello to these good people? I'll give them a little teaser as to what to expect here in the after party show. I don't know. It's up to you.
Hi all. Yeah, what to expect in the after party show? That's a good question. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get some news together, and we can maybe watch some charts. I'm getting interested again now that some alts are going lower. To maybe
we're finally getting that correction now. Sell in May and walk away.
Yeah.
In fact, I was even last night. I doubt I did any impact, but I was trying to slow Stuart down a little bit there on one particular name, but I don't think I got through to him. He's just like, and it's so cute. Stuart's our resident gangster. He's like, well, Brian, sorry, that's just the way I roll. Which I thought was hilarious coming from my beautiful Dutch Pennacook. Mind you, Pennacooks, they should roll, right? If they're circular, so there you go. Anyway, so we'll go hang out with Stuart in the after party and hopefully give you guys some extra value added alpha. I think that's what they call it in internet land these days. Anyway. So, as I like to do with you guys, sort of review what is my trading day look like, getting up. We actually have a new school term starting at TRI. So as a result, a little bit, oh my God, we gotta do this. Oh, I gotta fix that. Oh, I gotta do that. Oh, where was that? Why am I not in the room? It's gonna add me right now. Hey, I was in the room, but now I'm not in the room. What's going on? So I was just like, oh my goodness. So day trading had to take a bit of a backseat today. It is interesting though, because the very first thing that I do when I get up at 5:30 in the morning is check in with Chris and the opening range trade today. And interestingly enough, the opening range trade in crude actually did work. The only problem was I fat fingered the order. So I had a little problem with the trading view execution this morning. Trading view changed a little bit there, modify the orders, but in essence, this is a pretty good example of a typical opening range trade days activities. And if I'm not mistaken, Chris, you did take this, didn't you? I thought you said you did.
I did. We were very close to being outside of previous sessions range, but we popped back in right before the open, and I figured why
Yeah.
not take it
Well,
anyway.
and yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a mystery with this one. So as you see noted on my chart, one of the criteria of the trade is, are we inside or outside of yesterday's range? So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one there, but nonetheless, like to strap on like a couple contracts, let one go at 2-1, stop to scratch on remaining. And this particular case, the trailer was or the runner was stopped at scratch. But just, I think more importantly is what you guys see in social media and the public is, just what does a day trader's life look like? A lot of times they're sort of like pre-vetted setups that, you're just hunting for. And, if you're basically running your small business of trading, then you're just coming in the market and doing your work day in, day out. So that was opening range trade. I'm a big fan of trading extremes. So when I loaded up my 4-hour charts this morning, you probably noticed, and actually maybe we're getting, well, it's only 0.5% now. But I absolutely love to trade at things like Foggenbaum levels. So, we might even put like a Foggenbaum on here now. So that's an interesting range. Where are we here? Boom. Somewhere along those lines. Actually, I might even go off of there as well, but I don't know. That's a tough one. All right. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So, if I was looking at this, I would definitely consider this ATR level up against all these 4-hour highs. And the 200 SMA 4.669 as pretty attractive trade location, but you can see where we are here today. At best, we had a little bit of a play there against 13 EMA, considering this is the 2.618 foggy level. Not enough for me to justify trade location. So just watching. Not really at level, same sort of thing. I would be more than happy to be hunting shorts, might even do that there. Against these highs, ATR up top here, maybe we had like a 2.618 off of this range kind of idea. Yeah, that's sort of not really that attractive of a level. But point of the matter here is sitting right at settlement. I don't really like to take trades. I don't like to hunt setups. Unless it's maybe something like a trend continuation, like a bot setup, but nothing really developed there. And stock market off 0.5%, same sort of idea. You can see where I'd be interested in taking long shots down against all these support lows. Short shots, this might be an interesting one. We do have some 4-hour highs up here. But really, I'd love to see this market actually go A, B, C, D, launch itself up into this ATR level, up into this horizontal support level, and then look for a top that develops off lower timeframes. When we're this close to settlement, it doesn't really appeal to me. So if anything, it was kind of good that I did have to spend some time working away on course material and getting pages and stuff set up, because I just didn't have 4-hour levels to work with. And hopefully what I am as a demonstrator of best practices is we just simply get into the habit that you only see me taking setups when you actually see me at acceptable 4-hour trade location. So point of the matter here is levels. I don't really have anything to work with at all this morning there. Then I would also say, sort of juxtaposed with that, that news-wise, didn't really see much. There was some interesting sort of tertiary data points that came out. Julian actually pointed this out, and frankly speaking, I think this is an absolutely perfect analogy of our society right now. Consolidation of power. It feels as though like we're becoming more and more of an oligopolyist type society. I mean, frankly speaking, if people in charge of our society really wanted to have competition, wanted to have free markets, wanted things balanced, a robust, healthy economy that's well diversified, we should be breaking up things like Microsoft. Amazon should not be as big as it is. Google should not be as big as it is. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about how this society, and now, interestingly enough, you're starting to see consolidation of power in the banking sector. A lot of regional banks will be put out of business. In Canada, for example, they already did this. All the oligopolies run the banking system here in Canada. So just the point being that we're moving more and more towards these oligopolist, top-heavy society. And if anything, in a weird sort of way, competition and the little guy and small business and all that kind of stuff, the worst thing that could possibly happen for all of those people's workers' rights was actually the collapse of the Soviet Union. How ironic that the international socialist movement, which of course all the capitalists were like, oh, this is the end of the world, that actually set the West up to be a little bit more honorable now. And I've said this repeatedly, I think we're heading back towards sort of that, Scrooge, Dickens, Christmas Carol, Potter from It's a Wonderful Life, and his, basic, lack of interest in social programs and stuff like that. I think we're heading back into that world, which is kind of a sad commentary. But interesting sort of anecdote from the trenches now. You could actually make the argument that with all of these interest rate increases, the big, oligopolistics as sort of players in our society, they're not really going to be affected too much by this. In fact, there's even some talk that they're so big, like the Finks and stuff like that, that they actually are big enough to actually influence the Fed itself. But who is getting hurt here in all this? And it's the small businesses. And to be perfectly frank with you, I see this at TRI. I mean, we are a small business and we're just trying to do our thing. And the landscape is getting pretty challenging. And frankly speaking, I think this image, Julian shared it this morning, but I think it describes the current business climate and the current sort of economic climate, I think, really, really well. Little guys getting pinched hard here. So anyway, that's my rant about what the headlines in the Econs are saying. Interesting how China seems to be falling out of sort of this kind of idiotic, endless growth cycle that it was in there for, I guess 10, 15 years. Following the dot-com blow up and sort of the deal with the devil with the Americans and the Chinese. Fascinating to see. And keep in mind, this has always been the bugaboo about China is, of course, they're the 100 years of humiliation. So they had it the exact opposite way for almost a full century. But now it's like, you know what, we will export into your market, but you're not allowed to sell anything into the Chinese market. And interesting how Chinese imports from outside the country are collapsing here, of course, as Winnie the Pooh is kind of cracking down on sort of Western influence inside China itself. See how that plays out. Only time will tell. Interesting to see. And I might make the argument that the sort of raw goods portion of our society, pricing pressure, I mean, hell, I don't know whether you've seen the price of crude oil, but it's been falling appreciably. So a lot of these sort of inflationary pressures in the actual raw commodities prices and stuff are coming off. So we are seeing that inflationary pressures, like headlines, are abating. What I'm worried about here now, of course, is that that was just the cost push part of the equation, and now we should have the demand pull. So, there's big sort of government worker strikes here in my country. Stuart in the Afterparty on a consistent basis has talked about how life is a bit challenging over there in the Netherlands. So I think we're probably going to see a lot of pressure there for workers to be paid more money to keep up with the pricing. On balance, I mean, I don't know how this CPI down in the States is going to come out tomorrow. I mean, nobody really knows, but the inflation pressures themselves are abating a bit. And we have made the argument for quite some time now that Larry Williams, a guy over, he's a famous guy in the market anyway, but he has been doing videos over there on stockcharts.com recently talking about if the market gets wind that actually the Fed has gotten in front of this inflation problem and inflation is put back in the box. He thinks the stock market could just take off like a rocket here. So be interesting to see how that plays out. A little bit of softer pricing pressure out of the UK, a little bit of softer pressure out of Mexico. China is sort of, kind of on the outs here a little bit. Maybe we'll see a softer CPI number tomorrow. Well, only time will tell, I suppose. As for Econs today, didn't really see anything. Like I said, things like these surveys were dominating the headlines today. I suppose there is that Mexican inflation rate that we've been talking about there just past few minutes. I mean, it's not a huge number, but you can see we actually have like a negative month-over-month print there. I don't know. If anything, within the crypto space, obviously that Trex issue. I don't know whether Trex is the catalyst that starts this. I don't even know whether Binance has finished its monkey business, but I will say that we have done some serious technical damage now to the price charts. Not so much off the weeklies, right? Weeklies still, we're above the 13 EMA, we're above the 200 SMA on the weeklies. So we haven't really broken down per se. This low right here was, there was a social media influencer that came out, tried to get everybody all freaked out about Binance a month or so ago. That led to sort of a failed sell-off and the market rallied away from that. So that low itself is actually pretty important. As you can see, we're coming off here. This is a 3-bar fractal here, boom, boom, boom. So if we go through this big red candles low, or even just the low that's associated with those lows, that will actually start triggering sort of weekly sell, probably algorithms and stuff. So that number there is 27,137. And then the following low was 26,981. So my hunch is that against those lows there and against this low here, you're probably going to have some range players coming in against these support levels, maybe taking a shot on the long side. It wouldn't surprise me. Having said that, and I think I've talked to you in the public about this recently, I do kind of like that short setup. We have RSI breaking down here through trend lines. Actually, on Thursday, we'll have Julian come on the Daily Brief and the Daily Brief recap and the after party. And my hunch is he's going to be talking lots about RSI. This is a pretty interesting study going on here, right here. You can see that we do now have a M working, and this is off of Bitcoin itself. It's also interesting, too, that we have this M working off the total market cap as well. So it's not just Bitcoin. I'd actually consider this a setup that we actually teach in the level 1 program, the El Tangonator, and really a reversion back to this 50% level. Remember, I was talking about futures markets there a few minutes ago. I like to sell at extremes or buy at extremes and then have the market move back to the 50% level. That's kind of what this trade is. So, a move on this total back to 999. I guess that's just under $1 trillion. Technically, that would be appropriate to me. Only time will tell. We'll see how that goes. But that setup looks like it's just working away. And then the Bitcoin one, which to all intents and purposes is basically the same trade. It's remarkable how similar these charts look like. In this particular example, I have the RSI, and you can see, of course, the massive bear divs on this chart. So, M's are M's are M's. There's not really much more to say about this. I am going to try and do a demo short trade off of this clothesline level here, which interestingly enough is actually kind of like I need to see the market rally a little bit, believe it or not. Was interesting off of like the 4-hour chart. We talked about this in the broiler chicken show on the weekend. We did come down, and when I did the show on the weekend, we hit this bear ABCD objective. So it's a really cool lower time frame trade setup. And then the question was, okay, do we reverse back up or do we keep puking out and actually have a closing bar below these closing levels? So now if we change this 4-hour chart to a line chart, you notice that M now is in there. And what was interesting about this is whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. There. The candle that just expired, this 4-hour candle that just expired, notice the counter trend rally on that candle, they took it right up into that candle body low level. And clearly there were enough people that wanted, because of the break here, wanted to get short off of that candle body close level. Price was instantly rejected on the rally attempt right against that level. So we definitely have a trading range established here in the short term. I would just simply say for all those traders out there, and I kind of wanted other people that I talked to last night, this is how I roll kind of guys, and maybe just let this bottom come in first before declaring that this thing has actually bottomed. If we look at other coins, I suppose we'll go look at the name that we were looking at in the Afterparty, and I'll get sort of Sjord's 2 cents on how he's looking at it now. But they'd had the same sort of battle setting up here, and unfortunately the bulls lost the battle. So I don't know whether this thing's actually turned back up or not. You can see there is my fun little demo short. I'd like to short a quarter of a coin, which would be what I guess about $6,000-7,000 trade at the daily breakdown level, and that's just simply demonstrating this trade here. So I would like to try and get this on, but I want to get it on so that when we do dump into and actually not this bigger one, but this smaller price objective, which would be if this M here fires and confirms, I would like to take profits at its Foggenbaum level, which just so happens to be exactly the 2-to-1. And can I show you this without screwing all this up? Probably not. Anyway, there. This is the smaller trade. Yeah, 2-to-1. So I would like to actually see a little bit of a counter trend rally here to actually get that fill on. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Only time will tell, as they say. And then if this thing really is a bear and we just have to melt down here into May, June, which would be pretty typical. I actually like the idea of us dumping down into 4669s, probably play against this uptrend line here, somewhere down in this area. If we really puke out here, I don't think that this is going to happen here, but nonetheless, if I was going to just work an AOCO order, I'd have that order to buy back the rest of this short just on a serious test of the winter lows there. So we'll see what happens here. I don't really have permission to chase that. And if anything, I could actually understand lower time frame players. If this W does come in, I really wouldn't be surprised to see actually a counter trend rally, probably back to fight with that trend line there. And as I said, that kind of counter trend rally would actually give me fills at that 4-hour and daily top level. So that's sort of your state of Bitcoin. Now, remember, I've told everybody that I am a big fan of using 2023 as a buying window. So this was kind of a funny one that I've been trying to buy recently. I mean, you can see the double bottom. You can see basically down at the bottom end of its trading range. Tried to do this through DeFi and through the Ledger and Ledger Live and all that kind of fun stuff. Wow, what a soap opera this has been. And actually, our grand conclusion is even if I do buy this on the ledger, I won't even be able to see the position on the ledger because it doesn't even look like the ledger is got this particular coins, functionality or whatever on it. So it's kind of weird. I was talking with Stuart. I couldn't see it on the ledger. Then he asked me for some address and he goes, oh, yeah, yep, there it is. You bought it. Yeah, well, you're done. I'm like, oh, great. Well, thanks. I guess now I have to constantly check in with Stuart, figure out what the hell's on this damn ledger because it didn't show on the ledger live. So anyway, this has been a very good learning experience for Brian, trying to teach an old dog new tricks. And if anything, it was kind of good that we did get the pullback because I was able to get a fill price well underneath that for 2 level that I actually wanted to buy at. So I suppose that's good. But this is just an example where I am actually coming in on the buy side, and especially with these things dumping against all these lows, I don't really have a problem. I'm not going to bet a ton of money on this. It's like $500 or something. So I'm happy. In fact, just to illustration purposes, remember, I'm an open book. There's really no bullshit with me. There's no point in me bullshitting with you because I don't really care whether you buy or sell any of the stuff that I buy or sell. I've told you guys that repeatedly. So hopefully that doesn't sound like a broken record. But the point here is, what am I up to on my 2023? I want to buy everything. So here is my note, of course, about the C pool. But where's my fun little graphic? I had another. Oh, yeah, here we are. And in fact, there's Mr. Panicook. He's all ready to go. I don't know if he's building out his list anymore. We will check in with him shortly. But you can see there's Brian, Mr. Chicken. Now I'm up to 25 names. I mean, I just want to own everything. I'm just buying. This is exactly what I did back in 2000. I don't know. So 2014, I guess, 2014, 2015. That's it. This is exactly the same thing as what I did here. And then, of course, if you have the altcoins rally and you have Bitcoin rally, then at the top of these cycles, the numbers just are ridiculous. And this is why I have this pin. This is what, if anything, this is a perfect analogy of how you play the venture cap market. It's really straightforward. It's just, this is a weird business. When stuff goes on sale, and I mean, you tell me, is this thing on sale right now? I mean, you see where the highs are, but $1.20 or so. I'm coming in here at a nickel, not even a nickel. 0.039, something like that was my fill here today. Am I buying when others are not interested? That's the whole name of this game. In fact, Mr. Hendry and all of his rants that I tweeted out there the other day to you guys, it's the same thing. He happens to work on a macro scale, so he's only buying things like ETFs and stuff. But he just basically says, I want to buy the unloved things, the things that nobody else wants. Right now, he's all in love with the US long treasury bond, which makes perfect sense to me because everybody's bitching and complaining about high interest rates. Well, if interest rates are high and it's having an impact, you saw the small business graphic there. Small business owners are dying 1,000 deaths here. Then that probably means that the high interest rate environment is having an effect, and we probably aren't going to be at high interest rates for a heck of a lot longer because the economy will break, something will break, and interest rates will start coming back down again. And I've shown you guys repeatedly geez, Brian's just going on here. How are we doing on time? I must be getting close. Yeah. All right. So anyway, I won't go into any more detail today. You guys all know the money cycle and all that kind of stuff. We are getting close to the end of that. So just the point being that if this 4-year cycle is anything like typical 4-year cycles, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be, I have to force myself to come in and accumulate assets that look like that. And of course, I've been playing venture cap forever. So this is basically my bread and butter. This is what I do. This is what all venture cap VSE brokers do. And hell, I forced myself to come in and buy some of this piece of garbage the other day. I shouldn't say that. That's not really polite. But, I will just keep coming in and buying and buying and buying against the bottom end of the range. It's just what I do. OTC Big B says, does this guy even trade? Hello. Maybe you're not on the site. I don't know. I just went and spent some money, so technically that is trading. So I'm not quite sure what that reference is to. Anyway, I think we'll probably leave the free video at that. Like I said, time's basically running out here for our public broadcast. We'll head on over and spend some time with Mr. Pennicook, find out what he's interested in the market and how things are going on over there in Europe. PMA for the win, slow and steady wins the race. As we're sort of getting the school program up and running. Oh, also too, I forgot to mention, we'll have our Stock Pickers Club meeting. Hey, this is another asset that I just bought the other day. So I am active in the marketplace. I think you can even see here. Bought 200 big shares there at 283. So now sitting 318, feeling pretty good about that. So, we just slow and steady wins a race, just do our thing. And we'll have our Stock Pickers Club meeting tonight. And hopefully we'll have a bunch and more ideas like this tomorrow morning for you guys to chew on. All right, why don't we leave it at that? PMA for the win, slow and steady wins the race. All the best, and bye for now.